Hey guys, it's RJ here. I want to give you a quick recording here on how to create one of the network graphs using Google Fusion tables for the keyword ranking data that you can get from Webmaster Tools. So first things, a couple things here. First of all, please overlook that big old speaker on the bottom right-hand side. I was trying to record this on PowerPoint and that thing just persisted onto this report, so just excuse that. The next thing here is that I had to remove a lot of client data here. So, when you see these big white boxes, I'll kind of talk over what you should be seeing there, so it makes sense to you. Okay, so the first thing is you need a Google Webmaster Tools account or a Search Console, what they're calling it now. And the first thing you want to do is you want to be able to get what used to be called the Search Query Report data. Now I think it's called the Search Analytics Report. So here's how you get it. You basically log into Google Webmaster Tools, go on the left-hand side, and go, if you're in the old version, Search Query Report. If you're in the new version, hit Search Analytics. And here's the thing: most of you are going to hit Search Analytics. That's what you're going to see, because I think everyone is now seeing that. So hit Search Analytics, and then at the very top, when you get to that page, it should give you the option to go back to the old version to view the old Search Query Report. That's what you want to click on. So this should say Search Queries. The data should look like this. This is the chart you should see. You shouldn't see any of that advanced stuff that you're now seeing on Search Analytics. And you should see the option to go back to Search Analytics at the top. This is what you want to see. Okay? So just real quick, make sure that you're there and that you're seeing the same thing. Next thing is the time range. You can really go back 90 days, whatever you want to look at. I typically get a 90-day snapshot. For this example, I'm just using whatever the default was here. Okay? What's really important next step here is that you notice that we're on the queries here, so you should see a list of all the keywords that you're ranking and getting traffic for in organic search. But what we want to see specifically is going to be the actual pages themselves. Okay, so the thing here is you want to make sure that you click on that tab to see pages. Okay, third step. Okay, so the next thing is you get a list of URLs. So just to kind of orientate you with, if this is one of the few times that you've been logged in recently, you'll see a URL at the top, and then you'll see a list of keywords when you hit that drop-down arrow button. Okay, otherwise you'll just see a full list of URLs. Okay, so hit the arrow button drop-down, and you should see a list of a URL and then a list of keywords. Essentially what this is telling you is that for all these different queries, this is the URL that's showing up. Here's the total number of times it showed up. Here's the total number of clicks that you got from that at the URL level, kind of at an aggregate level. And then for all the individual keywords, here's the appearances that you've had, the impressions, and then the times you've been clicked on. Okay? And then it gives you a click-through rate, the average, clicks divided by impressions for the URL at the total level, at the URL level, and then the average position. Okay? So this is key here. So by default, Google will show you the 25 top pages, or I think it's sorted by something by default. Okay, so I leave it at 25 because this is a pretty time-consuming assignment. So you don't want to really do more than 25, but you want some good data, so you want to sort by something. So I typically sort by clicks, so that I have the URLs with the most clicks, and then I go through and hit the drop-down arrow for all 25 of those URLs. Okay, so I'm going to get quite a bit of data, a lot of keywords for those URLs. Okay, and that's really the next step, is to start at the very bottom of the page once I've gone through and hit the drop-down arrows for 25 URLs, and I'm just going to highlight everything. Now you can copy and paste. I think Control-A will highlight everything, but you want to trim it down so you're just getting the data here in this area. And I also copy the headings, so page, impressions, etc. That's going to come in handy later, so make sure you copy that as well. Okay, so this is just a little snapshot of it, but you'll essentially have a pretty long page of copied text here. Okay, the next thing is you want to open Excel and you want to paste that information in. Now to save you a step down the road, you'll want to just paste that into cell A1. Okay, I didn't do that here, so I got to go in and delete row 1, but just paste it in there. And this is what you should see. Now yours will be a lot longer because you'll have a lot more keywords and URLs, but you want to paste that information in here. Okay, so real quick, you'll have your URL, you'll have some data. Now if for some reason it doesn't put the URL data in line with the URL, it's kind of it's on this wonky kind of second row, and then you have your list of keyword data, and then for that though you should see the impression and click data in line. Okay, so first thing here is just to paste that in. Okay, the next thing you want to do here is add a column. Okay, it's going to be really important, so add that column. Okay, and then next, gets kind of tricky. You remember there was a URL at the top here, so that's the URL for all those keywords listed below it. So what I'll do is I'll cut that URL and I'll paste it next to all the keywords. So essentially what it's saying is that for each of these keywords, here's the corresponding URL. Okay. Now when we hit that drop down arrow, that's essentially what it was telling us, right? For that each of those URLs, here are all the keywords that rank for that URL. So what I'm doing here is just cleaning that up to be a little bit just to be a clearer relationship. So I'm cutting the URL and I'm pasting it in that new column we added right next to the keyword. I'm going to do that for every appearance of a new URL. I'm going to remove it and I'm going to paste it right next to the keywords. Next thing, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. So since I cut the URL from here, it's going to be a blank spot now at the top here in this cell. But I'm still going to have this URL data below it. But I want to get rid of all that stuff. So I'm just going to remove that. Now I'm doing it one time here in the example, but you'll basically remove these 2 rows 25 different times on your full spreadsheet. Oh, the other thing I'm just going to make a note of, just to save you some time down the road, if you have a lot of data, 25 might actually time your computer out and may cause some problems. Just do top 10, or just redo the assignment 2 times, or 2.5 times. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to delete the average position. We don't need it for this assignment, so delete that. And then we're going to manually calculate the click-through rate because it didn't provide it at the keyword level, only at the URL level. So clicks divided by impressions, calculate that for these, for all the keywords that you have, and copy and paste it with special values because we're going to delete the impression in click column soon. So make sure that those formulas stay in there. Okay, so and then change the format to percentages so you have that in here in column E. Delete column C and D, which is your impressions and clicks. We just want to clean this up a little bit. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the headings here. So we want all the keywords to be called source. We want all the URLs to be called target. All right, this is really important. Have it exactly like it is here. Capital S in source and capital T in target. Okay, and then your click-through rate just as it is there. Okay, try to keep it to look like just like this. Okay, the next thing, this is really your finished product, so just make sure that when you're comparing this, you have a long list of keywords, a long list of URLs. Now, a lot of these URLs are going to be the exact same for the keywords, but you should ultimately just have one kind of fluid row, not any blank spaces or anything like that. Okay? All right, next thing is because that the previous version was a little kind of limited here, and I want to be able to show you the end product, I'm just going to add in some just kind of blank keyword placeholders. I'm just numbering the keywords. And then 2 different pages, all right? So I want to see like keyword 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. They all show up for URL 1, and then there's keyword 18 that shows up for URL 2, and then there's keyword 19 that shows up for URL 1 and 2, all right? So just don't get caught up in this. This is just an example, but you'll have a long list of your keywords and then all your URLs listed, okay? I'm going to say this is a CSV. This is really important because the tool is going to ask for a CSV file. Save it somewhere you can remember. I'll save it to the desktop. And then I need you to go to Google Drive. So if you don't know how to use Google Drive or how to access it, there's a couple videos that you can find on how to do that. But chances are you'll be logged into Google somewhere in your browser. In Chrome, in the top right, there's this little grid. Click on that, select Drive. When you're in Drive, there's a box up here that says New. Click on that. And then at the very bottom of that, you'll get the option for More. Okay? If you see Google Fusion already listed, you can skip the next step because you already have it, but most accounts don't. So you'll want to click on Connect More Apps to get that. This will pop up, type in Fusion into the search box, hit Connect when it shows up, and it should download automatically into your options. So when you click More again, you should now have Google Fusion listed here as an option. So click on that. Next, you want to upload your file. So you're going to go from this computer and then choose the file. Don't touch anything else. All that stuff is kind of preset. So just choose your file, your CSV, and then you'll see this. Okay, again, don't touch anything, just hit Next. Same thing here. Don't touch anything, hit Finished, all right? Just everything's already pre-created. You just want to kind of roll through this pretty quickly. Okay, so what you're left with here is a list of all the data into basically a Google Sheet. This is what you'll see. You'll see a tab for rows, a tab for cards. You can ignore cards. And then right next to it, you'll see this little red box with a plus sign in it. You want to click on that and select Add Chart as one of the options. Scroll to the bottom of the chart options, select Network Graph as your chart, and then you want to make sure that you select Source and then Target. Okay, where it says Show Link Between, you'll get a little preview here of what it's going to look like, so it's pretty cool. So select Source and Target, make sure that these 2 boxes are checked, and then make sure that it's weighted by click-through rate. That's going to be really important because the size of the bubble is going to be dictated by the weighted option, which is the 3rd column. Okay, up top right here that says Done, click that, and then you'll see this. All right, now this is really important because you're probably going to have more than 21 nodes. The nodes are actually the dots. and the edges are the connections between the dots. But the nodes, you're going to have more than 21 likely, and what you want to do is, because this by default does not show you all of your possible nodes, it limits the view, okay, to save on just, I guess, compression or whatever. So what you want to do is change this number manually to be the total max number of nodes. So if it says, 500 of 50,000 nodes, change that 500 or 50 to the total number that's out there, okay? So this is 21 of 21, so we're good, okay? So that'll give you the full picture, okay, of what's happening. Now let's just take a quick couple of minutes to go through what this is really telling us. This is pretty interesting stuff once you blow this up. The first thing, disregard the top right notes for a second here. Let's just look at the visual. Okay, so this is going to look probably a lot cooler with your version when you have more data here. But what you want to see is like where the clusters are, like what pages rank for the most keywords, right? Because if you see like these huge clusters like URL 1 here, it's ranking for most of the keywords. But what if these keywords don't rank in a good position? Like let's say keyword 3, 4, 2, 8, 7, 10, all these keywords, let's say they'll have a pretty low ranking, right? It's probably because one page can't really be specifically about all these different topics. Okay, so oftentimes sites have, they don't have really an indexation problem, they have a ranking problem, and it's just that the right pages aren't ranking for the appropriate keywords. These kind of big bully pages are kind of cannibalizing the rankings, and you can quickly see that by visualizing this, and you can see if there's a lot of clusters or if you have a lot of small clusters. You want more of smaller clusters than bigger clusters, okay? The second thing here is, this is where you can start looking at the top right here. There are a couple of notes here. First thing here is keyword 8 has a strong click-through rate, but may not be ranking. I don't know why I put we at the end there. Okay, but keyword 8, so let's look at that for a second. So keyword 8, it has a strong click-through rate by the size of the bubble. The bigger the dot, the higher the click-through rate. Okay, so great click-through rate. Let's see, what did I mean by that? It has a strong click-through rate, may not be ranking. Okay. So what I mean by that is that keyword may be ranking, let's say, in position 16 for that URL. Now, position 16 even, it has a strong click-through rate. Okay, that's a good sign. It means that people are going into the second page and they're still clicking on it pretty decently compared to some of the other terms here. But is that really the best page to rank? Like, could I rank 2 or 1 or anywhere in the top page with the URL 2? Maybe that's a more appropriate URL. And that's what you want to look at, is like, even though you're ranking sometimes, you may be ranking for the wrong page, and this can quickly show you that. Second thing here is keyword 19. So let's look at that one. Keyword 19, it actually ranks for 2 pages. Okay, so it ranks for URL 1, it ranks for URL 2. Now both of those pages, could be appropriate for this particular keyword. The click-through rate looks pretty decent by the size of the dot at keyword 19. Okay, so in either case, it's probably getting a decent click-through rate. The rankings are probably pretty similar, but there may be one page that converts better than the other one. So if you're getting a ton of traffic from a particular keyword, but the conversion rate's low, maybe it's because the wrong page is showing up. Now, that could be something you can spot by this, and you can also see cases where you have duplicate content. You can spot that through these as well. And then lastly here, the case is URL 1 is ranking for most terms, but what if some of the keywords are more appropriate for URL 2? We kind of talked about that at the beginning here. So anyways, there's a lot of different ways to slice and dice this, but let me just take 30 seconds really briefly to show you why we even do this. SEO is a changing beast, and every day it's getting more complex, and there's new things to take into account for, and there's different ways to do optimizations. The only way we're going to grow as SEOs and differentiate ourselves is when we can start to tell the story of what's really happening. Most clients and agencies and companies aren't really understanding the full picture. We can geek out about this stuff and get really deep into it and have a really good time at conferences, but clients still don't really get what we mean. The visuals help that. They help tell the story of what's happening. If you can tell a client, like, we have a lot of really big clusters and we want to make a lot of small clusters, like, they can start to kind of get that, and you can show performance a lot easier. And when clients understand the work you're doing, they value it more, they're willing to invest more in that. It's a win-win for everybody. So visualization is a really key part of this. I encourage you all to study up on D3, Raphael, some other JavaScript libraries, and just understand really different ways to visualize this stuff. A lot of people are talking about it. I'll share some more videos on this stuff and how to visualize stuff. You can follow me at Rankology to get some more information. Or if you have any questions, also through the presentation, there's an email shared. But anyways, the blenders are going off at Starbucks, and I think it's time to end the video. So thanks, and talk to you soon.